You ready to do this?
Wood
chair bullshit. Did you press play?
That one we're playing, yeah.
God damn it. I knew it.
Hello, everyone. My name is Dom. Really?
I'm sorry, dude. That was bad.
It was going to be a good one. I had it. Hello, everyone. My name is Dominic Damore, and thank you for tuning in to the second best thing you will hear all week. We have a great show for you that includes top-notch film reviews, the latest movie news, and assorted thoughts and opinions ranging from insightful to downright obnoxious. This is the I've Had Better Movies podcast. Let's kick it off. James, what do you have for the fans this week?
My name is James Langos. Welcome to the show. Each week, Dom and I will give you, the fans, a review of a film currently in theaters, or in the rare occurrence we can't afford to go to the movies that week, we will dig deep into our film libraries to break down an old great or just a random piece of garbage. This week, either of us weren't able to go to the movies, so we are going to pick some of our favorite movies to talk about.
Absolutely. I will kick things off with one of my guilty pleasure movies / something that I don't think gets enough credit for what it did and who all was involved. But my pick for the week is He's Just Not That Into You. Yes, I know.
Romantic comedy.
It's a chick flick-esque movie, but there are so many big stars in this film, combined with the fact that it did something that those ensemble movies rarely do, which is actually make a good movie. Like you remember or think back on other ensemble type movies like Valentine's Day, which was garbage.
Terrible movie.
Yeah. Or
what was the other one?
New Year's Eve.
Yeah.
It's basically they all revolve around some sort of holiday.
Yeah.
I think there's another one coming up, ironically also starring Jennifer Aniston, called Mother's Day. So we'll see how that works out. But the beautiful thing about He's Just Not That Into You is there are several intertwining storylines, and they all make sense, and none of them feel forced, except for possibly the Drew Barrymore, Kevin O'Connell love story. But it's so quick, and at the end, you're just like, oh, good. They found each other, too. But just to give you guys a rundown of who's in this film, there is Jennifer Connelly, there is Scarlett Johansson, there is Justin Long, there is Ben Affleck, there is Drew Barrymore. The list goes on, and it would take me far longer than we have on this podcast to give everyone the credit they deserve in this film. My personal favorite storyline is the Jennifer Aniston, Ben Affleck angle. Not necessarily the focus of the film, and they're kind of in the background, but I thought both actors did such a tremendous job with the performance that you really felt for it and made you want to watch this movie over and over. And if it's any consolation, it does play on the E! Network and USA a lot. So that speaks to replayability, which is a huge factor for me when it comes to picking my favorite movies.
I agree. It does have very good rewatchability.
What are your thoughts on the film?
It's a typical rom-com, but it is pretty fascinating, and I do enjoy how they fit so many actors into one, short window of a movie. And it's just an interesting romantic comedy that, you can relate to the characters.
What's your pick for the week, Jim?
My pick this week is Sin City. It's one of my all-time favorite movies. It came out in 2005, so it's almost, 11 years old?
Yep, that's math.
Math's great. It has a lot of big actors.
Ironically, another ensemble-type cast.
Yeah.
We fairly random this week, folks, but just so happened we both picked solid ensemble movies.
Yeah, but they're different because one's an action thriller and one's a romantic comedy.
Yeah, there's not so much love involved in your choice.
It's pretty gory. Jessica Alba, Rosario Dawson, Benicio del Toro, Michael Clark Duncan, Tommy Flanagan, Josh Hartnett had short part, but it's
back when Josh Hartnett was a thing.
Yeah, when he was popular in acting. Michael Madsen, Bruce Willis. It's Frank Miller, who is the
graphic novel creator behind such such arcs as The Dark Knight Returns, which some of you may or may not know is what the upcoming Batman vs Superman. It's a slight adaptation from the Batman you're seeing is the closest thing to Frank Miller's Batman. And fun fact, Frank Miller on this movie is listed as the director because Robert Rodriguez, who made the film, he didn't want to take credit for it because he was just taking Frank Miller's creation and character and just putting them on screen. So Frank Miller is actually listed as a director on this film. He tried to do it again a couple years later with The Spirit, and that was awful. And then he tried to do it a couple years after that with Sin City 2, and once again, that was awful. But on this adaptation, no, he knocks it out of the park.
Yeah.
It flows really well. You feel for all the characters you're supposed to feel for. You hate all the characters you're supposed to hate. So they did a great job with it. And at the time that it came out, because it is a comic book adaptation, and it is a black and white film with injections of color that, for the time, was really outstanding. Like, we had never seen anything like that before.
Yeah, the majority of the film was done on green screen.
Yeah, this was back in like the first days of 300 and things like that. So
300 came out a couple years before.
Mm-hmm. So, final thing, I'm going to give you an argument to why you should go see my movie over Sin City, because it'll leave you feeling love in the air. It's got a great cast who are still all working today and nobody hates, except for Drew Barrymore, but, it's Drew Barrymore. It's got a young Bradley Cooper and Scarlett Johansson, who both play characters you don't really like, which is kind of the best Bradley Cooper and Scarlett Johansson. The ones who you're like, wow, they're so attractive, but they're awful people. But I still kind of love them. That's when Bradley Cooper and Scarlett Johansson are at their best. It's got one of the most attractive people in the world in Jennifer Connelly, who is my personal favorite person on earth. I would give my entire left 3 toes and maybe a thumb if I got to ever meet her. Shout out, hit me up, just saying. But
just to meet, that's a lot to give up.
Yeah, like I said, she's my number 1, Jim. I'm not picky. I know what I like, and I'm willing to sacrifice for that. Are you willing to sacrifice?
It's very admirable of you.
Just have her send me a text, and that'll be enough. Doesn't even have to be anything crazy. Just like,
how about an email to the website? That'd be good too.
That'd be great too. Oh, like an email to www.ihbpodcast.com or to our Gmail account, ihbpodcast@gmail.com.
Either one will work, Jennifer.
Yeah. But yeah, so great. It's got legendary actors in it, up and coming actors, such as Ben Affleck, who you can see honed his skills for an ensemble cast, which may lead into his reign in the DC universe. So who knows about that? But yeah, that is my argument for why you should go see He's Just Not Into You over Sin City.
And you should go see Sin City if you don't have some girlfriend dragging you to go see He's Not Just That Into You.
Hey, here's a movie for guys and girls. Scarlett Johansson gets PG-13 naked in this movie, so what's up with that?
Yeah, Jessica Alba dances and strips, so it's pretty good. You don't see anything, but
because
very imaginative.
Yeah, no, I'm not gonna lie. It's hard to argue against Sin City, but we'll see. Watch them both back to back. Tell me which one tugs at your heartstrings more.
No, that's
the one
that's
where
unfair.
Somebody gets shot every couple of minutes, or the one where somebody gets shot in the heart every couple of minutes.
So depressing. So depressing.
Each week, in addition to entertaining all of you fans, we also like to deliver some of the top movie news around the country and around the movie industry. So to start it off, Jim, what do we have?
The first one is Jennifer Aniston and Jason Bateman will be returning to the big screen together as both have signed on to star in the upcoming DreamWorks project, Office Christmas Party, a comedy focusing around co-workers whose holiday plans have gone awry. Joining the former Horrible Bosses star on screen will be T.J. Miller, coming off the box office hit Deadpool, and Kate McKinnon, who is set to break out with a starring role in the upcoming Ghostbusters reboot. Dom, how do you feel about this announcement, and are you looking forward to it?
No.
Interesting.
Yeah. This is a first because I believe in the 3 episodes we've done, this is the first real negative thoughts I've had about a project. I don't like it. I don't see it working. I think that Jason Bateman and Jennifer Aniston are not a great connection together. I don't particularly love them on screen.
What about We're the Millers?
That is Jason Sudeikis. Way to keep your SNL alum in line. Which,
my bad.
Speaking of an SNL alum, Kate McKinnon, she's one of the main reasons I am not particularly looking forward to this. She's a great comedian slash improv slash I think she's going to absolutely blow up and become a huge star along the lines of the Andy Sambergs and the Tina Feys and things like that. She's got to get a little bit more under her belt before she gets to that level. But if you ever watch her on Saturday Night Live, she's one of the only reasons to watch nowadays. But she's one of the reasons I'm not looking forward to this because of the pairing with T.J. Miller. I see this as more of the... Okay, Jennifer Aniston is going to play the overly critical slash classic woman who is unable to break out of her shell. Jason Bateman's going to play that sarcastic guy that Jason Bateman always plays.
Yeah, same character in every movie.
T.J. Miller is going to play the quirky guy who works in the office, and Kate McKinnon is going to play the weird, quirky woman who is in the office.
What direction are they going? Is it a romantic movie? Is it a comedy? Is it...
I don't think it's going to go all the way to romantic comedy, but it's going to be a comedy that has romantic elements.
Do we know the rating?
We do not yet.
Okay.
Yeah. But also...
If it's PG-13, I don't know if it's going to be a good one.
Yeah, I'm assuming it's going to be PG-13 because
not good.
It is being helmed by the same directors who did Blades of Glory, the Will Ferrell and guy that nobody ever sees anymore. Yeah, Napoleon Dynamite. How would you like to be that guy?
Typecasted?
Yeah, like...
I would not.
He kind of blew up for a couple of years, and then just you never see him again. Like he was in that...
I wonder if he just stopped acting. Didn't want to do it anymore.
No, I mean, I know he still does some voice stuff and other things along those lines. John Heder is his name. He was a smash breakout hit in Napoleon Dynamite, and then gets all these other fantastic roles with Will Ferrell, and you really think that he's going to blow up. And I mean, over his past couple of years, he's done some voice work in a Mouse Tale, Star vs. the Forces of Evil, Pickle and Peanut. None of these I know. He was in About a Boy as computer virus guy. So, yeah, talk about being on top of the world and then just not really knowing what happened. But, yeah, so not directors I particularly have a whole lot of faith in, but we'll see. What are your thoughts?
I mean, it all depends on the rating. I think the rating can make or break this movie. Because Jennifer Aniston, I mean, she's pretty good with rated R comedies. I mean, I think she's shown that twice in Horrible Bosses and We're the Millers. And Jason Bateman, I don't know. What was the spelling movie he was in?
Bad Words.
Bad Words? All right, that was tolerable because he was trying to be something a little bit different than what he normally is. Yeah, the nice guy.
And he was the director of that. I think he's got skill as a director.
Yeah.
Which makes me wonder why he's not doing this film. But not to change subject, but did you think that Aniston would be the breakout star of Friends? Like looking back.
Like watching Friends on TV.
Yeah, like
thinking...
who out of that cast were you like, yeah, they're going to be great. They're going to turn this into a great movie career. Because realistically, she's the only one. Like, I think that Lisa Kudrow is the most talented out of any of them. Because everything she does and she picks has been fantastic.
Yeah, she's done well. Very well after Friends.
Yeah, but she does those, like, really small cameo things. She's done very few, if any at all, leading character stuff.
Yeah, but she's got that show on...
Showtime.
Yeah.
Yeah, which, again, is great. And Matt LeBlanc also has the show on Showtime called Episodes, which has gotten fantastic reviews. But it's one of those things where I thought more of them would have a greater film career.
I don't know, maybe...
Like, Matthew Perry had it early on.
Matthew Perry should have... I think he should have done a lot better.
Yeah, I think he had more personal issues. Like, he was in Serving Sarah. Did you ever see that movie?
Yeah.
Not a bad movie. Like, horrible premise. And not good, but utterly watchable.
Yeah, I think Matthew Perry just had some poor choices after Friends.
That and a whole lot of drugs.
Well, I thought the drugs was pre...
I think the drugs was kind of...
it was during Friends.
It was during, and then I think a little bit after. And
was it?
Yeah. He's had a lot of failed TV shows, too.
Yeah, I feel bad for him. Yeah. He's struggling. Sneaky good Matthew Perry movie, The Whole Nine Yards.
Yeah, no, I like The Whole Nine Yards.
Yeah.
Probably not as big of a fan of it as you are, but sneaky good. That was back when Bruce Willis still tried at most of his movies.
Yeah.
Yeah. But back to the topic at hand. Your final thoughts on the Office Christmas Party movie starring Jennifer Aniston and Jason Bateman.
Again, it goes back to the rating. It depends what they decide. If it's PG-13, I'm a definite no. If it's rated R, maybe.
Yeah, this is a movie that most likely will not be getting my money at the end of the year.
No. Wait for it to come out on Netflix or something.
Yeah, I'm sure it's also got a December release date because it's coming out around Christmas, so I'm sure there'll be other much better Christmas movies to go see.
Yeah, December's always packed with good movies. Why bother even trying to do that one?
Exactly. Last week, James and I discussed the news that Emily Blunt would be lending her voice to the upcoming My Little Pony feature film. Well, it appears Blunt could have another major role on her hands, as The Hollywood Reporter has said that Blunt and Disney have begun serious talks for her to star in a Mary Poppins sequel. The new film is expected to take place some 20 years after the original, during Depression-era London, with the character Michael Banks being grown with children of his own. James, what are your thoughts on Blunt's casting and opinions on the sequel?
She looks like Mary Poppins. I think the resemblance is pretty spot on.
What was that?
No, I'm not doing it again. That was a one-time thing, by the way. So it'll be interesting to see. I don't know. I mean, how old is she going to be? If it's 20 years later, past the first one.
To my knowledge, Mary Poppins is. It's been forever since I've seen the original, but she's more of like a fictional character, to where like.
Guess you could really do whatever you want.
Yeah,
with it.
so like she's going to pop in.
But then why would they say 20 years after?
Because it focuses around the kids of the original movie.
All right, that makes sense.
Yes. So, in my opinion, I could not imagine anybody better to be cast. Like in my head, because Julie Andrews was the original Mary Poppins. Obviously, great casting. And Emily Blunt fills those shoes perfectly. The only other person I could possibly put in there, Emma Watson. But
yeah,
she's not quite old enough, and hair doesn't work.
I don't know if she'd want to do it.
Well, she is going to be in the upcoming Beauty and the Beast movie.
Yeah, but I think can she sing? I think she can sing.
Ooh,
she can do anything.
Which one?
Emma Watson.
Yeah, I think she can sing.
She can do it all.
Yeah, she's amazing. Let's face facts.
Just
cast her in all of them.
Can Emily Blunt sing?
I think she can. I know she's done, like, she was in Into the Woods.
Okay.
The Broadway adaptation of, the movie adaptation of the Broadway play.
Yes.
So, yeah. Her role, I think, was a bit more sing-talky, but she definitely had moments where she was able to belt it out. And I think she's extremely talented. So, I love the idea. Again, as we talked last week with My Little Pony casting. Her schedule is getting fuller and fuller. So you wonder if this is something she's going to have to like not take another job, which, depending on what it is, would disappoint me. But the idea of this film intrigues me because, like I said, it's been 15 years probably since I saw the original. So it'll be something where if I had kids, I would want to go see this.
Yeah, definitely a good family movie.
Exactly. And even if I didn't have kids, just the sheer idea that, like, hey, we're getting Mary Poppins back on the screen, a classic literature, classic film, some of the biggest stars of then, and some of the most revered actors of then, like such as Dick Van Dyke, who was in that film, Julie Andrews, who I already mentioned. So it is definitely intriguing. Caught my attention, made me for sure more interested to see a movie that I probably wasn't so excited for before. The idea that, like, oh, we're doing a sequel to Mary Poppins, felt like a cash grab, but once you cast Emily Blunt, then it's like, oh, this is a serious movie.
Yep, I agree. For those of you who are anxiously awaiting Matt Damon's next film, The Great Wall, unfortunately, you will have to wait just a bit longer. The film follows an elite force making a last stand for humanity on the world's most iconic structure, and was originally set for November 2016, but since has been pushed back to February 17, 2017. Dom, does this change of dates affect your anticipation of the film?
It does. Initially, my first thought is, okay, never good when a movie gets pushed back. Second thought is, okay, never good when a movie gets pushed back from a prime November season
to February,
which generally, for those of you who are unaware, January and February are considered boneyards of the movie industry. Like, if you know your movie sucks, like, that's why Dirty Grandpa was placed in January, because they knew it sucked. They didn't want to bother to market anything for it, so they put it up against the other bad movies, hoping that it'll just be the best of the worst.
Yeah, and usually it's kind of dry in January and February because all the good movies have already come out because they want to get ready for award season.
Exactly, and there's so many, like, Oscar, like, that's the reason The Revenant was in the top 5 movies for 8 weeks, and why Star Wars was in the top 5 movies since 2 weeks ago. So that was nearly 13 weeks.
Side note, but does this diminish what Deadpool did?
This actually, I think, is because of what Deadpool did.
Okay.
Because they're going for that same President's Day or Valentine's weekend to where they think that they can grab a solid chunk of that money. Because with Deadpool making $150 million opening weekend, it's certainly sparked other people's interest to say, hey, we have this action-filling role movie that can take the Deadpool place and earn that Deadpool money.
Yeah, especially if you know your movie's not going to win an Oscar. There's really, you might as well try it.
That was the other
see
thing.
What happens.
Yeah. The November release date also was weird because generally you see those, like the Star Wars and the Harry Potters, they'll get those days, but it's normally just Oscar bait movies who get the November release date. So initially reading the premise of this movie where the elite force is defending the Great Wall against what I'm assuming is some kind of alien force.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's not a period piece, because why would you cast Matt Damon in it?
Yeah, no, it's a future film. And actually, there's some interesting facts about this. This is the largest, highest budgeted movie ever filmed solely in China. Yeah.
It has to be a lot of money.
Yeah, so I bet you Matt Damon's getting paid a hell of a lot of money.
Probably.
Yeah, so something I'm definitely intrigued by, but to be honest, the move back, it makes me question it more than anything, because
it's disheartening.
Yeah, I think they're moving it because they think it could be something like they could cash in, but at the same time, I could see a whole nother Elysium, which I wouldn't say a passion project for Matt Damon, but it's one of those things where, like, okay, this is Matt Damon's sci-fi movie. Didn't really hit on all cylinders. Had nice moments. The villain was pretty cool, but overall, I didn't think it was a strong showing for Matt Damon. Any final thoughts on this, Jim?
A little upset that they moved the date, but hopefully it's for a good reason, and they're just trying to make it better than rushing it, is what I'd like to think.
Yeah. Final thing, though, you are going to get 2 Matt Damon movies in the summer-esque season, because Bourne is supposed to come out that following July.
Yeah.
Actually,
I wonder if that's what they're doing.
You think they're going to try to? You think they're trying to capitalize on that Bourne momentum?
They might.
It's possible, and I mean, this could, if it's good, it could make 2017 Matt Damon's year, because he's got this movie, then he's got Jason Bourne, and then he's got a Oscar bait type movie. I haven't, just from what I read from the description, called Downsizing, where it's like a sarcastic comedy.
I got it. Social satire in which a guy realizes he would have a better life if he were to shrink himself.
Yeah. So
comedy drama.
Yeah. It's something that could be interesting. He could get another Oscar nod, a la The Martian, and it's got a pretty all-star cast in that film. So
Alexander Payne is directing, which is a positive. He directed The Descendants.
Oh yeah, nice.
Sneaky good film.
Yes, no, sneaky good film. Shailene Woodley getting her break.
Yeah.
Some people might see that as a negative. Divergent, Part 7, the next one.
Yeah, they Divergent should have been made either 5 years before the Hunger Games or 5 years after the Hunger Games, not immediately after.
Yeah. Have you seen the trailer for the newest one?
Yeah.
Yeah. Coming from a guy who really likes short hair, Shailene Woodley in the second one, when she cut her hair real short, I was like, okay, she pulled it off. In this one, she's got like that mom haircut where it goes like just to mid-neck. And the entire time I'm like, yeah, I probably would have waited like, hey, let's give this another 3 months to grow out and then we'll start shooting.
Yeah, who knows? I don't know how they picked that stuff either.
Yeah. Just another job that somebody else should be giving us money for, right?
Yeah. I need to talk to some studios.
A surprise hit for many moviegoers was the Matthew Vaughn Helm comic book adaptation, Kingsman: The Secret Service. While a sequel to the film was announced months ago, new reports have stated that Julianne Moore is being eyed for a role as a villain. Further rumors have said that the next installment will be headed across the pond and take place largely in the United States. Jim, do these rumors increase your interest in the film?
Surprisingly, no. I'm not a Julianne Moore fan.
You are not?
No.
Really?
Yeah.
Just in general, or?
Just in general. I mean, I think she's a pretty good actress, but I just find her boring to watch on screen.
What about Don John? Because you like Don John.
I really enjoyed Don John, and she aggravated me in it. I don't think she was casted correctly. I think she did okay acting, but I don't think she was right for the part.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not as... I mean, I really enjoyed the first one, so it'll be interesting to see, but I just can't see her playing the MFing Samuel L. Jackson that movie needs. Because it should... I think that's what made the first one, and they need to stick with it for the second one. Because if she's just some quiet, she's got to be angry. She's a villain, so I don't see her dropping F-bombs and it being entertaining.
Yeah, I like Julianne Moore. I like her as an actress, and most of her roles I really enjoy. Her as the villain does strike me as odd. Like, to me, that's like discount Jodie Foster, like, who has been cast in a lot of villain roles recently because she plays that badass really well. But the one thing with Kingsman is they are known for doing that. I mean, granted, they've only had one film, but that off-the-wall villain. Like, Samuel L. Jackson, his character was unexpected and out there. And the first time that I've ever seen Samuel L. Jackson actually act in quite a long time. Because generally he is Samuel L. Jackson playing such and such character who is kind of just an adaptation of Samuel L. Jackson.
Like in Hateful Eight.
Exactly. Like, that was Samuel L. Jackson with the mustache.
Yeah.
That was pretty much it. But So I am looking forward to it because I like the first one so much. The part that actually gets me a little skeptical is the coming to America part. And
Yeah.
I think this will earn them more money ultimately at box office, because it's one of those weird things where people see like, oh, this movie's based in London, I don't want to go see that. Like that middle of America crowd who kind of doesn't get outside their own bubble. So I think it's probably a solid move for them financially. Story-wise, I worry a little bit. And the fact that at the moment, Colin Firth, who, spoilers, dies in the first film, I thought he was a big piece of the first one, to where it had that contrast of Colin Firth, this upscale gentleman who then all of a sudden turns into this badass killing spy machine who...
you need to be in London to do that.
Yeah, kind of. And Colin Firth was that character who kind of made that movie for me. Taron Egerton was fantastic and certainly put himself on the map to be in some future films. But I think Colin Firth showing that he could do action scenes alone was mesmerizing. So I wonder how it's going to work. Bit of a negative show today, Jim. We haven't really been buying a whole lot, except for Emily Blunt. But I mean, who doesn't buy Emily Blunt?
That's true. Yeah, tough week.
Yeah.
Next up, we have the box office battle.
Finally, all the exclamation points included.
Competition for bragging rights between friends who want nothing more than to prove they know more than the other guy, and who buys the first round of drinks this week, of course. How the game works is each week, my co-host and I will predict the top 5 films at the box office. Whoever gets the closest to the correct order wins the point for the week. The box office results from last week are as follows. Taking the number 1 spot for the second week in a row was Deadpool, raking in an additional $55 million. Remaining strong in second place was Kung Fu Panda 3, earning about $12.5 million in its 4th week. Third place goes to newcomer Risen, earning just over $11.8 million. 4th place, we see another first week edition with horror thriller film The Witch, earning $8.68 million. And finally, wrapping up the top 5 was How to Be Single, earning $8.22 million in its 2nd week. Tom, tell the people who won last week and give us your thoughts on this week.
You won.
Yes. That hurt, didn't it?
It did, actually, yeah. I kind of dropped the ball. Race. The Jesse Owens store really kind of dogged me on this one, because I thought it was going to do great numbers. I thought for sure we'd see a solid return. Just the marketing didn't back me up.
The Catholics came out strong.
They did. Oh, and that was another point. So, for those of you who aren't aware, I feel like I say that every segment now, but I do the editing mainly for the show, so we record this, and you have no idea how many screw-ups we have per episode, so there's a whole lot to cut around. And we're trying to keep the episodes around 45 minutes, but ideally under an hour. So last week's episode, we had a bit of a longer discussion. I had to cut some things out. And one of the things I had to cut out was my sneaky pick of the week, which was Risen. A movie that so few people actually knew was coming out because there was no marketing behind it, but had that strong Christian following that drove people out to the movies. So it earned over $11 million. And who didn't bother to keep that in the podcast? This guy.
He's pointing to himself.
So, yeah, that was a disappointment for me personally. But also on the other note, I'm glad to see it made it up there. It was something different. The trailers actually look pretty good, even for somebody who doesn't have a huge religious background. I thought that they could go and see this movie and enjoy it without having to be overwhelmed by the idea that, like, this is a Christian movie. This is a Christian movie. Didn't see it personally, but it's something that I would give thought to. Got a solid score through most of the critics that I saw, and obviously the returns that show it. Earning back almost half its budget, or actually a little over half its budget for the film. So that's good to see. Other notes to that I thought were impressive. Deadpool pulling in another $55 million.
It's a lot of money.
Great number. I mean, that is $3 million less than I thought it was going to open to.
Yeah.
a week ago. So that's pulling in crazy money, just getting rave reviews all around the board for mainly the fans. Critics are panning it a little bit because they're like, oh, all it is dick and fart jokes. But
Yeah.
yeah.
How about How to Be Single staying in the top 5?
Yeah, I know. Neither one of us had that in our top 5, right? Yeah.
Nope.
I thought that was going to be a pure Valentine's Day drive, but no, it did well. And I mean, 8.22 million in the 5th spot is nothing really to scoff your nose at. So that's impressive. The Witch. Here's the other thing. For those of you who are unaware, I'm going to get that on a t-shirt, sell it, make $12 because my mom will buy one. Maybe Jimmy's mom too.
Yeah, she's nice like that.
Yeah. Not all movies open in the same number of theaters each week. Some movies do a soft rollout, which is where they open in fewer numbers of theaters. Hopefully they get good word of mouth, and then the following week they open to more theaters. The Witch, I think, did that this week. It opened in just over 2,000 theaters, and Risen opened in 2,915, or 2,915 theaters. So almost 800 more theaters, which means with how close they were, The Witch actually out-earned Risen per theater. However, Risen was just in more theaters. The math working in your head there, James?
Yeah, it takes me a while to figure math out.
Yeah, so
I didn't have a very good teacher senior year.
So that's something to keep in mind where you hear like, oh, Witch came in 4th place. It came behind a Christian movie. It did, but it's getting good reviews. I guarantee it'll open in more theaters next week. And I'm seeing a fairly decent return next week as well. Just by comparison, Deadpool this week was open in more than 3,500 theaters. So it's one of those things you have to take into account when you see what Box Office does. All right. And now on to our picks for this week. Hopefully I can get back on track.
My box office hits for this week are number 1, Deadpool, because I think it's going to make a lot of money in its 3rd week. Number 2, Gods of Egypt, just because they marketed the hell out of it, and it's got Gerard Butler in another 300-esque role. Number 3, Kung Fu Panda 3, because there's apparently still little kids out there that haven't seen it.
And no competition. There's no other kid movie out there in the theater.
Yeah, that's true.
You're not taking your kid to go see How to Be Single.
No. Number 4, 999, because it's another criminal cop movie that has some really good acting. And number 5, Risen, because I think it's the religious people have been talking, and the word of mouth of it seems pretty good.
Nice. We are going to have a very different week. Not going to be any risk of ties for this one, that's for sure.
That's good. Not that we'd get close anyway.
Not usually. But, eventually, by just rule of statistics, one of us is going to hit.
That's true.
But I have Deadpool also as my number 1. Mainly just because of the competition, but also great word of mouth. I expect it'll probably drop off like 60%, so look for it around like mid-20s, upper 20s maybe. Hopefully it'll stay on a little higher than that. In 2nd place, I have 999. I think the trailers are great. I'm hoping this movie gets marketed the crap out of. And for a semi-weak box office, similar to last week, where like number 2 movie came in at 12.5 million, I think 999 will absolutely do better than 12.9 million. So I'm guessing around 15 to 20 for that, hopefully. It definitely looks like it deserves to be up there. In 3rd, I have Kung Fu Panda 3. Again, no competition. The rest of these movies, they haven't gotten great marketing, so I think it'll hold on to a top 3 position. 4th, I have Eddie the Eagle. Nope, you're not feeling it?
Nope, not at all.
See, I think this movie might have had the best marketing campaign out of any of them, because Did you watch any of the NBA All-Star Game festivities?
I did.
They actually ran commercials where they had NBA All-Stars go to the movie, watch it, and then they gave a review of it afterwards. And they're all like, oh, this is one of the most inspiring movies I've ever seen. Great actors involved in it with Hugh Jackman and Taron Egerton. It's a bit of a risk. It's my jump for the week. Hopefully, it'll sneak me in and it'll get that push that I hope it deserves. And my fifth movie is The Witch. Like I said, opening in so few theaters last week, I think it's going to get good word of mouth, and I think it'll earn probably right around the same money it did this week, which in my head puts it in the fifth spot.
Is it going to open in more theaters?
It should. I don't have those numbers in front of me, but I would assume, because usually it did 8.68 million, so it's definitely not going to go down. And I assume with making that much, because the movie probably wasn't made for a huge amount, they'll put some more money into marketing and throw it out there to more theaters. So that was the box office breakdown for this week. Let us know what your box office is and your top 5 picks by sending us a tweet to hashtag IHB Movies, or you can just tweet us directly at IHB Podcast.
Now it's time for Tough Questions, a segment dedicated to getting answers to life's toughest questions like, does Sherwin-Williams carry all 50 Shades of Grey? And giving you, the fans, an opportunity to ask us questions to encourage intense debate that could ruin our friendship. If you would like to ask us a question, just send us a tweet using hashtag IHB Movies, or send us an email to the IHBpodcast@gmail.com. Dom, what's the question for this week?
All right. So, Jim, as you know, this past weekend, I attended the Daytona 500.
Big race fan.
Yeah, not so much. But it was one of those events where it's a major sporting event, something where it gets talked about every year and things like that. And as a fan of movies and as a fan of sports movies, is there a particular event / sport that you would like to see a movie revolve around?
With that question, first thing that comes to mind is Wrestlemania. One, it's never been done before. The only argument to that would be wrestling is kind of already a movie because it's written out each week.
It's scripted, but I think that's actually a really good choice because think of something like The Wrestler. It was a great movie, but it focused on more of like that lower level, rundown, famous wrestler from the 80s who was big on like that low level track. I would love to see a movie where some kid rises to the top and gets to live his dream of going to WrestleMania, like more of the classic sports story sense where you start from nothing and you work your way up. Because yes, wrestling, spoilers, is fake, but what these athletes, I put that in quotes for those of you who aren't watching at home, which should be none of you because all you have to look through is my window. That would be creepy.
The shades are down though, so you don't get much.
Yeah, but they do put their bodies through a whole lot of stress, and they have to work from different levels. They have to expand their game. They have to make sure that what they're doing is at the top notch, just like any sports athlete. So they have the trials and tribulations just like anybody else. I think that would make for a great movie.
Yeah, I mean, and let's be honest, wrestling's probably America's 4th or 5th largest sport.
Probably.
You got football, basketball, baseball, probably the top 3. I don't know if soccer's not really there yet. Hockey's up there too for 4. And then, of course, MTV's The Challenge, which needs to be in the top 5 or 6. But then wrestling's got to be up there.
Yeah, I would probably go football, basketball, baseball, hockey, wrestling, soccer. I think wrestling has a bigger following than soccer currently in the United States.
Yeah, I agree.
Worldwide, obviously, completely different game, but yeah, strictly speaking, United States, and it would make money. I mean, the WWE network, they make movies all the time, horrible, crappy movies, but they get the right team in there that portrays something like The Wrestler. and gets that level of talent / commitment,
Yeah,
I think it could absolutely work.
it's definitely got potential. The part I enjoyed most about it is it hasn't been done.
Yeah, no, it's something new.
It'd be interesting to see how many people would go see it. And I mean, Wrestlemania sells out every year.
It does, yeah.
Why can't a movie do well?
Yeah, or even on the other end, like say you don't focus on the sport itself, but you revolve a movie around sport. Like what comes to mind is Sudden Death with Jean-Claude Van Damme. Say what you want about the movie. It's not great. It's a perfectly good / average 90s action flick, though. So I think I would just have a movie that takes place at WrestleMania. Like the WWE's not going to get involved in that. Like they don't want to put that marketing out there as well. You've got a solid fan base already in wrestling. You get solid talent. It could absolutely work.
Another movie that also comes to mind is The Fan, because it doesn't really... I mean, it's got the majority that deals with baseball, but it's not entirely around baseball.
Yeah, no, it's a story of like stalking and over fanaticism that revolves around baseball. That's a great pick there too, because that I didn't see that movie. I'm a huge baseball fan. I didn't see that movie until about 5 or 6 years ago. And I'm also a De Niro fan, and I'm a Wesley Snipes fan. So when I saw that, it was just playing on some like HBO 8, and I was like, "What the hell is this?"
Do they have HBO 8?
Yeah, they got like
HBO the Ocho?
They got HBO, HBO 2, then they got like HBO Family, HBO...
They got a Spanish one, I know that.
Yeah, HBO Latino. Or HBO Latin, yeah. And then they got like all those. They got like HBO Action, stuff like that, HBO Kids. So yeah, it was playing on one of those. And I saw it, I was like, this is great. It has its weak moments, and like I think the ending is a little sketchy, but like it falls apart logic-wise. But great movie. Like De Niro playing that psycho character, like a little less than Cape Fear. So not quite as...
Yeah, I really enjoy De Niro playing that type of character. He does it so well.
Mm-hmm. It'd be nice to see him get back to it instead of trying to have sex with 37-year-old Aubrey Plaza.
Yeah, but can he be that same guy at his age?
I think he absolutely could. You put a baseball bat in that man's hand, I'm going to be afraid of him.
Yeah, I don't know.
He's in shape. He held Zac Efron up in one arm. Yeah, he did that in the movie. You didn't see it, so you don't know. And
I don't see crap movies.
And I don't recommend it, but they do this stunt where De Niro like braces his elbow against his side and holds out his forearm, and Zac Efron does a handstand on it. And according to Zac Efron, that really happened.
That's pretty crazy.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of it's just like leverage and shit like that.
It's still impressive. The dude's pushing 80-something.
Oh, yeah. So, The Fan was a great pick. WrestleMania was also a great pick to revolve
72.
Yeah. Great pick to revolve your sport around. Thank you all for tuning in. If you enjoyed the show, please like this episode and subscribe to the I've Had Better Podcast Network. Also, follow us on Twitter at IHB Podcast, or on Facebook, go like the I've Had Better Podcast page. Jim, tell the people how to find you.
I'm on Twitter, and you can follow me at _Kaiser_Soze. Check out this podcast and other articles at the IHBpodcast.com.
All right, and I am Dominic Demore. You can follow me on Twitter at Dom Demore, that is DOMDEMORE, or on Facebook at Dominic Demore. How was your show this week, James?
I've had better.
Good night, everybody.